Welcome back to review episode 237. Time to count your sins because we're reviewing basically the sequel to Kamen Double, Futo PI. Yep, it's the anime sequel to the show, which they say this one takes place a year after the events of the show, which, from what I've heard, the show picks up like right after their appearance in the Mega More movie. Yes, whereas it was O's and Forza featuring Double. This is basically pick up right where that movie left off. So, basically, the museum is long gone. The first episode of the series, by the way, we're discussing the first 3 episodes, which covers the first 8 chapters of the manga. Yes. So the opening episode itself takes the flashback from the first Mega More movie, the 2010 one, where it basically has a flashback to the night where Double was born. And they make a slight change here where there's no dialogue, it's a lot of fighting, and basically you have them transform, and you see Skull, the guy who's Anko's father. He's on the ground, he's been shot multiple times, and then they apparently don't save him because he falls right through the floor. That's something originally the anime added because that was never in the show itself that I know of. Then we jump ahead months later, where you see Shotaro. We jump into the present day where Shotaro is on a dock, monologuing like he's part of a crime noir novel. And then he gets a phone call on his Beautifone, basically with stuff. And then it comes across as Beautifone, which this woman is complete and original for the series. She's original to the series. This is Taliko, who we don't identify yet. She's a very beautiful woman who Shoto is immediately mesmerized by. Yes. And I'll get to a little bit more with her basically later. So here's what else happens here. So after they chat for a bit and then she leaves, it's talking about being satisfied and hungry. It's kind of weird. And then he proceeds to ride his motorcycle. And by the way, the thing is, if you ever watched Double, Shotaro a lot of the time didn't wear his suit coat a lot of the time. He usually just wore usually the white shirt and vest. He very rarely ever did. If he did, he'd do it for some special occasions per se. Now, it wasn't like in every single episode of Double he would wear the suit coat. Probably because it was very hot in Futo. Probably because it was also described as the Windy City. Which also, I love how the animation looks here. It looks gorgeous. By the way, I did look this up. Apparently the studio who made this anime, it's not Toei. No. It is the same studio who made Skeleton of the World. And I love the colors of this place. It looks gorgeous. Yeah, I'm guessing that this show was so expensive. That's probably the reason why there's not been a season 2. And can you believe this only aired like 4 years ago? Yes. So we have Shotaro go back to his office. He gets hit in the head by Aniko. Yes, Aniko. Basically, he gets caught from Aniko. Philip is sleeping on his bed in the office, which you see him basically sticking his hand out, by the way, he's wearing the same outfit. He was shown wearing same style of outfit he wore in the show. They did make a change to his hairpins, where they look like those clamps you put for papers, which they changed that for the show. Not sure why. And the fact that they suspect, Shotaro might be mesmerized with this beautiful woman. Well, he is. And then later on he sees her again. And then we have a client like, he has to get this bag back for a reason. Yeah, and by the way, I should just point out though, each arc is roughly 3 episodes. Yeah, it is 3 episodes, which is kind of interesting. The fact they did this. Yeah, and in case you're curious though, does Shotaro and Philip become double in the first episode? No, they wait until the end of episode 2 to finally do that. Probably because basically they want to give a little more time. That's my guess anyways. So here's what happens. So we have to check this woman out, which he eventually does, and then he goes on and looks like a shadow version of Futo because he thinks his whole thing is like, I know every single, I memorized the whole layout of Futo. Couldn't find her. Eventually he does chase her down, and then he gets out of the thing, ends up in a crime boss's building. But luckily he's able to let go due to the fact this was a complete accident in his building. And then we see two of the detectives from the show. Yes. Oh, by the way, you might find this interesting. Excel is mentioned in episode 2, does not make a physical appearance here just yet. Not really sure why. It's kind of odd, to say the least. Miko and Shun are here, which is awesome. Yeah, and there's even one of the regulars here. They bring in like Weatherman, Santa. They bring in like several of the regulars in the show, which I do appreciate the fact they actually brought them in. Good of them for doing that. Just my view, yeah, this is definitely the same continuity as the show. And then of course, basically after chasing her down and be like, oh, by the way, don't think with June, you guys know it's him because he's got his back scratcher. Because he loves carrying around with him. So, and then we find her again. This time, bathing at a public fountain. Which, this was a lot more scandalous in the manga. This scene. Yes. In the manga, you actually see her butt naked. Here it's censored a bit. You know, on the manga, you actually do see her, like, almost completely naked. I mean, yeah, she's naked here. And she's got, like, a memory in her, hook on the side of her panties. Which, and then he sees, oh crap, it's a memory thing. Of course, she knows about it, and she was surprised that she knows about it. And then we have a road depot show up here. And, of course, he suspects this might be Tamako, but it's not her. And she really has the ability, they call her a witch because she can crawl on walls. She can crawl in the air, walk in the air, or walk through buildings. Yeah, this is explained later on. I think it's the broken memory, the reason why for this. So, then after more investigating, and then of course we find out who the road depot is, after we find out what the bag is, it's here once again bathed in the fountain. Which, lucky enough, basically he's a complete gentleman, but not seeing her butt naked. So, then she gets dressed and find out who the road depot is. Like, who killed one of the guys henchmen? It was the guy Sabu. Yes. So he was responsible for it. And of course also, this is when also we finally have the first transformation. Of course, Philip shows up. And because at first we do see the henchman device they have, puts it down because he gets argued with Philip. Just like he did in the first episode of Double. Which at least this time, Shoto didn't punch Philip in the face this time. Nope, didn't punch him. Which, good that he didn't do that, because, yeah. And then they transfer, like, memory. Oh my gosh, he has memory thing. And then we see both transform into Double. It says, count up your sins, which is awesome. And he battles the road depot. And of course, we figure out Sabu. And he goes there to Darkfield City. He saves her. Also, Aiko's there. Of course, she's going fine with of course, Timiko. And then, of course, we have him use his motorcycle. And then, during the chase sequence, I thought this was so cool. The fact they did this. I'm like, thank you, studio, for doing this. As an insert song for this chase, they throw in the double opening song. Yeah, they do. You're like, really? Yeah, really. In case you're curious, though, what was the name of the Double theme song? It's known as WBXW Boiled Extreme. Yeah, and they play this for basically one sequence here, which I thought that was so cool. And oh yeah, and also like he does also transform. He also does Lunar. Yeah, and also in these episodes, I think it was in episode 3, I think it was. Like, basically 2 was the anime debut of, well, transmission. So basically, in episode 2, we get the anime debuts of Heat Metal and Luna Trigger. Which I think, oh, you grab me, let me know you grab on my arm is actually hit their arm. Yeah, I thought this was really cool. And then by the end of this, basically, Sabu's defeated. And he's arrested along with the rest of his gang. And Tamako is arrested, but then she's released. After Shotaro defeated a Deathbot. Yep. He defeats a random Deathbot in the episode. What the heck he's soon form of, don't really know. Also, they make the debut in episode 3 debut of Luna Trigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then of course, as Tomoko was arrested, she's allowed to stay with the detective agency as Shotaro assistant. And then she goes to the apartment, stays there, and I did read apparently that. Well, I'll get to that later. So it's like fine, I'll sleep basically at the office because she took over his apartment. First time his apartment ever been seen because his apartment was never shown in the main show. He's like, well, I'm not home very much. That's why it's so clean. And she stays there, and then of course, basically, well, then we debut at the end of the episode. Well, or Deathbot, yes, a man by the name of Yuji Bando. Which I love the way the guy looks here. He kind of looks like Byakuya from Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, he's voiced by a character who voiced the character Teddy from Kamen Denno. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, in case you're curious, though, do they maintain the same equipment sound effect names they do the show? Yes, I do. I thought that was really cool to do that. But for the open 3 episodes, these were fantastic. I loved it. Can't wait to discuss the rest of it tomorrow because it's kind of late right now. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today's video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Tomorrow, so expect more of this, more Kamen Rider, One Piece, My Hero Academia, and maybe Comic Code. Okay, next video. Bye.